The Washington State football team is back to work today following their bye week as they get set for a tough test Thursday night against number 14 Utah. And the big question heading into Thursday night, will the Cougs be able to correct their second half struggles from the previous 2 weeks?
I'm a solution-based leader. The problem's there, okay? So how do you want to solve it? So we added some things in practice to try to make sure that we're emphasizing finishing football games.
The WSU offense has scored a grand total of 7 points in the second half in the last 2 weeks. In both games, quarterback Cameron Ward's completion percentage has plummeted.
We're not built as an offense yet, okay, to say, hey, we're down 14 points in the fourth quarter and we just need to throw it every time. Okay, and then let someone else tee off on us. Everyone talks about Cam, and Cam owns his part in it, but it's protecting them, it's running the right routes, it's establishing the run, it's not having negative plays, and I think that was the culmination of the Oregon State game.
Defensively, the Cougs are only allowing 21 points per game, but there is one area the defense has been lacking in recent weeks.
We have to create more turnovers and be more dominant in that area of the game, and recently we haven't been as much as we wanted to. So moving forward, we're definitely attacking that ball as much as we can, and that's kind of our focus point moving forward for sure.
We will have Thursday night lights at Martin Stadium. The Cougs and Utes are scheduled to kick off at 7 p.m. We will have full highlights and post-game coverage for you on KREM 2.
Coach, just kind of first want to ask about what's kind of the outlook for the offensive line this week in terms of Lely getting back and kind of how it's going to play out on the right side.
It's still playing out even today on what we would look at as a Wednesday on a short week of preparation. You know, Lely just really came back today from the game injury, and I thought he looked good and playing a bunch of combinations of Make at guard and Grant at tackle, and then Lely at tackle and Grant at guard. I think we feel pretty good about leaving Make inside. I think that's, kind of been proven that that's probably where he's most comfortable in the shorter spaces, and that's kind of where we're going, but he's ultimately got to be ready if something happens to kick back outside if the moment's called upon. So we've worked all those combinations really through the last 10 days and just excited about, Lely's progress and really what he did through the first 3 quarters and hopefully growing upon that as we continue his development.
Do you have any sort of update on Nakia and Renard, anything new on their status?
No.
And then on that, with the running back depth, I think it's fair to say Jalen's taking the bulk of the carries, and we saw D. Payne getting a lot of the pass block reps. Are those kind of the top 2 right now?
Yeah, and Javinsky, is getting more and more reps as we continue to go through. He's absorbing the package again since fall camp after being away from it, really for kind of the first 4 or 5 weeks of the season. So he's shown some progress, and he's got to be ready. Because he's one play away from taking valuable reps, and the team needs him to step in, and we can't miss a beat. So those will be the 3 guys that we're really rolling with.
Were there some scheme changes you had to make with kind of the running backs assignments with Nakia out in terms of like pass blocking and kind of assignments in that way?
No scheme changes, just execution errors. I think that's what it came down to in that game. Through some youth, some inexperience, some different looks, we just didn't execute in the moment. And those are the things, I told our coaching staff, that's on us. We need to do a better job of making sure we're giving, Jalen every opportunity to go out there and execute his job, and we need him to do that. And, we just can't have guys running free through the line of scrimmage, and a lot of that pressure gets put on Cam, but we need to protect him the right way so we can get through our progression and ultimately eliminate these negative plays. That's the biggest thing through self-scout. Really the last 10 days, we have some momentum, and then we cannot overcome negative plays within a series, okay? And that's been the story of the 3 and outs, and that's been the story of not sustaining drives. When we get in the red zone, we're really efficient. We just stall out before we get there. So that's been an emphasis as we've gone throughout the last 10 days, and excited about identifying ways to improve those things.
Coach, Utah is averaging 41 points per game, and your defense is allowing 21 points per game. How does your defense match up against this Utah offense?
Well, I think Utah is the king of the conference until someone knocks them off. And that's how we approach it. That's how a team should approach it, and they've earned that through hard work, development, and how physical they are at the point of attack. I think Utah is known for running the ball. I think they want to run the ball. That's where it starts with. But I think they're very capable, as they've proven, last game beating USC, that they can throw the ball with the best of them too. So if they need to throw it 40-plus times, I think they have the personnel and the ability to do that. So it's a unique challenge, and I think their quarterback on tape is the #1 competitor that I've seen. This guy does it all. If they need to run him 20 times, he'll do that, and he'll do it physically. If he needs to throw it 40 times, he'll do it. If they need to be play action pass and run the ball, I think he can do that as well. So it's a unique skill set, and I just think he's one of those guys that competes his tail off, and that's what I see on the tape.
Utes tight end Dalton Kincaid has been a big difference maker for them this season. Do you have faith in your linebackers and safeties to shut him down, and how would they do that?
You like to use these shutdown terms. I don't think these players are too good to just shut one person down. I mean, the guy just caught 16 passes for 200-plus yards. And it's amazing because at the end of the day, 80 was even better. And Kuthie's not playing anymore. So I think it allows you to focus a little bit more on Kincaid and where he's at and what he's doing. But to flex out and be a mismatch for a corner, come back into the box and have the ability to kick out a D-end. Heck, they might hand on the ball. I've seen Utah do that over the last 3 years. So the versatility, the skill set is obviously next level, and he's got a bright future. So I don't think you shut down a guy like that, but we got to know where he's at, and we got to have an opportunity for our guys to go make plays against him because I think he really does a really good job at the top of the route using his body, I'll say, and shielding out defenders.
And you touched on the offensive line earlier. There were 6 sacks against Oregon State. How do you stop this, and is there any change to your scheme?
It's not a scheme change. It's an execution emphasis, right? And making sure that there's a difference between being aligned, being on point, and getting beat, okay? There's too many times in the Oregon State game where there's just guys running free, okay? And that's on us as coaches to make sure that our plan is better, our preparation is getting these guys equipped for game day, and obviously going out there and executing, right? So everyone in this building owns that. And we've identified some of the issues, but we got to execute better. And to go out there against a really good team and a physical defense, and this might be the most aggressive defense in our conference. So we got to take advantage of those times. We got to give Cam some time, and we got to have the ability to take the ball down the field and make plays. So I think that'll be an emphasis, for our success in 3 days. I mean, this game's 3 days away. So our guys have been preparing not just today. This isn't a usual Monday. I mean, we started last Wednesday, had a great practice in the snow on Saturday, and then now we're ready to go.
With Maake maybe getting more reps on the inside, with Grant Stevens maybe getting some more back on the out, how seamless is that? Obviously you played tackle a bunch, but has that been kind of a work in progress, getting him back in the groove there?
I think it is a little bit, but I think it shows the mental makeup of both of those individuals, right? To have the ability to flip them and to know what you're doing assignment-wise. I think there's a technique gap and difference between guard and tackle that we all realize. To the point of your question, we've done a good job over the last 10 days, I think, kind of honing in on some of those skill sets, but credit to both of them. A, ego-wise, saying, hey, this is what I need to do to be best for the team. And B, just mindset-wise, being able to handle a change like that. Not everyone can do it. So excited about how both of them have approached it. And then obviously Lely's progression has helped the thought on why we want to do this.
Stribling, I know he played some inside. Is that kind of a for good thing, or are you experimenting there? And is he going to stay at the slot, I guess, for good? And how is is it going to?
Well, I think definitely with Renard out, I mean, we need to try to find a way to get our playmakers the ball as much as possible. And I think that's what we're trying to do, moving Strib in. But I think there's also a scheme emphasis of getting a big body in there, right? So we can work more in the middle of the field. We can work more down the field in the seams. And I think that's what Strib gives us in there as a change of pace guy. And there's some give and take, so when you get Renard in there, he's a little more snappy on underneath routes and off of his cuts, and Strib's a little bit more long strider, big body. But I've just been really impressed with Strib and his mentality. His voice has grown. He's really finding ways to be a leader, even in practice. I was really proud of him today and how he challenged some guys out there on the offensive side of the ball. And those are the steps of maturation of a young player. And I think he's handled being in the slot, which also is easy. People just think it's a receiver, right? You just go out there and run a route. There's a mentality difference in there, and things happen faster, but also trying to find ways to get our best players the ball.
Over the past 2 games, how happy or not have you been with kind of the receivers' ability to separate from DBs in the USC and Oregon State?
It's back to that consistency, and I think that's kind of the word right now that we've been using a lot over the course of the bye week and into this short game week is we got to be more consistent. So there's times when you love it, right? There's times when you see Rob doing it at an elite level. I think you see Renard doing it at an elite level. It's just not consistent enough over time. And then when we've taken our shots down the field, we've just studying all the deep shots. We just haven't given our guys enough opportunities to go make the play. We're leaving too many of those throws out of bounds. So there's just been a lot of little things that you look at and say, hey, we can improve in these areas. And it isn't one person, it isn't one position, it's a lot of things. And trust me, when I talk about those things, that excites me, right? And that's why we have coach on our sleeve, and that's why we've identified those things and we're attacking them as we continue to go throughout the season.
This Utah defense, how would you maybe define their identity? Do they seem to have something they really lean on?
Yeah, aggressiveness. I mean, pure aggressiveness, and from how they get off the ball to how they rush the passer to zero coverage in the middle of the field. I mean, they're an aggressive outfit, and they're willing to put all their guys in man coverage, and I think they have the ability for those guys to execute in those moments. They're doing it a little differently, but they're physical and they're aggressive, and I think that's been, Coach Witt's calling card for a long time, and I just think it really shows on tape when you watch him play.
What have you learned about leading practices from this time last year when you got started to today? And has anything changed?
Say that one more time.
What have you learned about leading practices?
Leading practice?
Yeah, leading
like
practices.
from a head coaching perspective?
Yeah.
Well, I just always think that, people, you got to be consistent. And I think there's an energy that the head coach needs to bring in each and everything that you do, and I think everyone down the line will respond to it. So when you show up Saturday in the building and it's in the afternoon, and sometimes guys walk in and you got to make a choice. And your choice to believe in what you need to do and have an energy about your presence is something that I want to demonstrate for these guys each and every day. So I think leading is very important, but I always think leadership trickles down into your program. So from the top all the way down, I think there's an energy about the way we want to do things, and that starts with me.
Has there been any moment where you realized that, here at WSU, that your leadership style you wanted it to be a certain way, or did you always set out to have it be this way?
Well, I think you develop who you are really over time. And I've told my story a little bit that my first 6 years in coaching, I was under 6 different defensive coordinators. And it was an amazing opportunity to take a piece of each one of them, but also shape how you would do it. And more so mentality-wise over scheme. Here's how I'd handle this situation with a player. Here's how I do my Friday night meetings. Here's how, I show guys or film guys and motivate guys. I think a leadership style is a mentality. And I've talked to our guys a lot. It isn't the personality of the player always, because we're all different, but it's the mentality of the man that matters. Okay, and that's what we're constantly wanting to develop, and that's what we want to recruit, right? The mentality of the individuals we bring into our program is important, and those are some just leadership things that I think we want to hang our hat on here.
Thank you. And a Thursday game poses a lot of challenges, of course, for at least the Pullman community, but why should Cougs make time and make an effort to show up on Thursday?
Your question is why. My question is why not? Why not? Okay, to have the defending Pac-12 champions come into our place, what an opportunity to show who we are as Cougs. Okay, so my question is why not show up, right? We've been in Pullman businesses, we've been with the student body, we've been with Greek life. I mean, there's a lot of people that we're committed to being great here. Okay, and these are those moments on a Thursday night when there's a lot of things you could do, when you could watch it from TV, show up, support your team. Right, and I think that's the message to everyone out there. And I'm proud to represent Washington State. I know the people that wear their Cougs all across this country, they're proud to be a part of Washington State. So the question to me is why not? Why not be here? Why not cheer on this team? Why not see this environment and make it something special and see what we can do? So I think that's the way we look at it as a program, and obviously as players and coaches.
Coach, against Oregon State, Cam had 29 incompletions. Is there a way to change that? Does it start with maybe getting the run going earlier, or was it more protection? Like how can you kind of get Cam a little bit more comfortable and be able to complete passes?
Well, I just think we're not built as an offense yet, okay, to say, hey, we're down 14 points in the fourth quarter and we just need to throw it every time, okay, and then let someone else tee off on us, right? So it's situational, it's game-wise. I mean, like I said, everyone talks about Cam, and Cam owns his part in it, but it's protecting them, it's running the right routes, it's establishing the run, it's not having negative plays, and I think that was the culmination of the Oregon State game, and I think there's an energy and a life that we need to play with, and I talked about how we fell short, so it starts with me, and we got to put those guys in the best situations to make plays, and everyone's banged up this time of year. right? We have a next player up mentality. So the guys that are backing up some of those guys, like, Leighton Smithson, I thought played well. Ryan Peters needs to be a bigger part of the offense, and I think he will be. Rob's been very consistent. So Don needs to make some plays down the field. So it's everybody. And like I said, it starts with me, and we're excited about going out there and having another opportunity on Thursday.
And just over the last 2 weeks, only 7 points in the second half. What needs to change? Is it a halftime message, or what needs to change to make it better?
I wish I could say a magical message. I wish something I could go to, and it's because of what I say we go out there and have success. But it doesn't work that way. We've done a good job. Our third quarter split is fantastic as a team. Our fourth quarter split is not winning football. So there's a mentality of looking at, and I look directly in the mirror. Hey, in practice, we've done more good on good to finish. We added last week one-on-ones to finish practice. So there was more of a finish mentality that I wanted to establish really over our last 10 days. So we did look at that, and I'm a solution-based leader. The problem's there, okay? So how do you want to solve it? So we added some things in practice to try to make sure that we're emphasizing finishing football games. So hopefully we'll respond on Thursday.
And with Cam Rising, you talked about him kind of being a dual threat, but also how they like to run the ball. Is it more difficult game planning for a quarterback who is so dual threat? And what kind of difference do you have week to week when you have to?
Yeah, 1,000%. And you've seen people throughout the country have really taken their quarterback run game down because all these guys are getting hurt. But there's an art to taking hits and running and finishing, and he does not run out of bounds. Okay, so, you got to take advantage of that. You got to try to hit him within the course of the whistle. But the dual threat nature of it, schematically takes that guy out of the middle field, and now you got to count him into the box and on the quarterback, and then it allows him to pick you apart a little bit through the air. So that'll be the chess match, finding when they do it first and foremost. But also, like in our game last year, coming into it, they didn't do a whole lot, and then as that game got closer and closer, now it's time to run them. So they ran them quite a bit against USC, and we need to get ourselves in a position game-wise where they feel like they need to.
What was kind of the reception you got on the west side of the state this past weekend, going to a couple high school games, and then I know visiting some recruits and such, and kind of how do you assess, or what would you assess the current recruiting class in the state like kind of across the board?
Well, I think the biggest thing is what the message I want Jamie to go out is that we're dedicated to recruiting the state. Okay, we have seen over 20 teams play throughout the first 7 weeks. Okay, so week 1, right, we took 4 of our coaches over there on a Friday night to watch teams play. Week 3, we took coaches over there to watch teams play. On the bye week, I was over there going into schools, and Thursday night game got canceled because of smoke, but I watched 2 teams play. It's really important to us. And live evaluations will start in our home state. And I think some people talk about it and some people do it. And I don't know what anybody else does, but there will be an emphasis on recruiting our state, and we're very happy with where we're at recruiting-wise. Okay, now it's also that time. A lot of our guys, our verbal commitments, are starting to get offers from other people. And we got to stay the course. We got to keep those relationships going, and we got to always be ready to pivot as we work towards building this team and building this team for the long term, not taking shortcuts.
Is the transition of moving Strib inside made easier by just how well Leighton has played the last few weeks?
Well, I think it gives you a guy that can come in and do it. And I think putting the stress on Strib to learn a new position over saying, hey, Leighton, maybe fits better as an inside guy. So I think Strib can handle it. That's the maturity of it. And every time Leighton's out there, every time he touches the ball, you just see his growth, right? So I'm excited about what he's continued to do, and we got to find ways to get him the ball in space. Because this is his first year playing wide receiver. Let's make sure everyone understands that. And last year he was running the rock, at quarterback. So he's getting better and better, but I think it allows you to be more versatile, and we need guys like that to step up as we go throughout these last 5 weeks. I thought you had a question with that microphone. You're just holding it. Okay. All right. Go Cougs. Let's go, Coach.
We have much more sports content available for you to watch right now on KREM 2+. To find it, just navigate to the Sports tab at the top of your screen. I'm Travis Green. Thanks for watching.